Hey guys, it's Motzie. Just letting you know that there are still 13 slots for the Winter Market art and sticker sheet delivery. Just a reminder that this is a limited run print, which means we're not reprinting it, so this is the last time you can get your hands on this print. I'm also including some adorable handwritten messages for some of these. Some people asked for some doodles, which is really great. It's been really fun doodling Mari and Donner and all that. So if you still want some Hainai art, stickers, and a little doodle or a little message, hand-drawn or handwritten by me, go to coffee.com/Hainaipod/shop and pre-order the art print and sticker sheet today. It also comes with a digital thank you card. We'd like to give a special shout out to the following people for making this episode and the rest of Act 3 possible. Louis, Malaya, Reg, Daniel Athern, Osterkim, Vanna, Finch, Dr. Dan Venning, Sleepless Berry, Court, Rogue Canoe, John and Muna, Sadie, Zay the Great, Elliot Kane, and Trident. Thank you for your support. Maraming salamat. You're listening to Hainai by Motzie Dapul. Episode 59. Poót. Hainai. Long time no chat. Went to see Nan today. We wanted to ask her what she knew about Henry Wallace because somehow he's become real relevant to our current situation, and she was happy to share what she knew. Even went and dug through her old albums. Said she inherited some of his things when he died about a decade ago, after a long and peaceful life with his wife Etta. "He was my uncle," she said. "Loved filling my head with those terrifying tales of his. I used to collect their comics, him and Auntie Etta. My folks' cousin. But they were much older than he was, so we were more like cousins. He said his mama liked to tell him stories, so he just kept telling his own. Nan said he collected most of the magazines he submitted to. And when Etta passed away soon after, she inherited all of it. Donner got to dig through the dusty old files, while I got to enjoy story time with Nan. Told her how we learned of her uncle, about the old rhyme. Young William had a lover, who sang a lovely song. His body had a cover, and William's night grew long. His father bade him stay a while, but William was a liar, and when the ward went up in flames, he lost young Will to fire." Nan laughed, said he made it up himself, even if he never told anyone outside the family. It was speculated, of course, but I wasn't expecting her to tell me that he got it from his mama. Well, the story, not the rhyme. Great Aunt Adeline, she said, though she used to go by Violet, survived the Great Ward Fire that destroyed a huge chunk of St. John's Ward in Toronto back in the 30s. It was a miracle that she did too, with how quick that fire spread. Said she was lucky. Got out without getting burned, even a little, though she looked like a gray ghost all covered in ash when she stumbled out of that part of the city. She was out of her mind, she said, delirious from the smoke. Should have gone home, but home was on the other side of that fire that she got out of, so instead, she made her way to a house she knew because, well, because she saw people die in that fire. She was a bartender and server at one of the juke joints in the ward. The kind that served drinks that weren't quite allowed until they were. But that was the business. She saw people die that night when the joint caught fire. But it happened too fast. All she knew was that 1 second they were there, and the next... She wanted to tell their families, but she didn't know where they all lived, except for one. Because everyone knew where this one lived. His father just about built the city, after all. Imagine this little woman, covered all in ash, striding up to a rich man's door in the middle of the night, coughing her lungs out. She didn't even think about how she looked until the housekeeper screamed. But when the old lady realized what had happened and saw the smoke in the sky and the glow of the fire across the way, she invited her in to wash herself. Adeline washed the ash off and drank till her throat was no longer dry as dust, and explained why she'd come. "Billy boy," she'd said, and the housekeeper's face paled, because that was the name they called him in the clubs she worked, but she knew who he was. William Savard II, son of one of Toronto's most influential men, and his only heir. Apparently, Adeline, Violet, knew him from all the nights he spent at her club. Knew his lover, too, but he'd been gone a while now. "He was never supposed to be there," the housekeeper lamented. "But he went anyway, even when they all in the house tried to keep him in. He'd somehow found a way around them, too. She'd let it go when he had Jack with him. Jack would have kept him safe, did him right. But since Jack died, he'd been a danger to himself. She tried to keep him home. They all did, but he wouldn't listen to them. She let Violet sleep in the staff's quarters that night, and in the morning, she was summoned to the master's. He'd caught wind of her late-night arrival, it seemed, and he himself hadn't come home till morning. William Savard had always been a frightening man, but Violet couldn't be afraid of him. Not when she was so much more afraid of what she was about to tell him. She explained to him. She said, "Mr. Savard, I work at an establishment in St. John's Ward, and your son was there when the fire struck. I saw him die." She said Savard was still as a statue when she gave him the news. Her instinct was to touch, to offer comfort or condolences, but he was a man beyond men, and she didn't know it was appropriate. And while his voice had been deep and booming when he first spoke, his next words were so quiet, she thought she imagined them. "What?" She explained what she could, how the fire spread too fast, how the ceiling fell right on top of the drinkers at the bar. Billy boy, young Will, counting among them. How she crawled her way out, choked by smoke and ash. He asked if she was sure. She handed him proof. Young Will had a fine flask that he could tuck into his pockets, for when Violet cut him off on his stubborn, sopping drunk nights. This last night, Violet had taken it from him, forced him to dry off before he made his way home. It was all that was left of him, with how quickly that fire had eaten everything in its path. Some might have survived, but not young Will. Savart's hands shook when he took it from her. In a quiet voice, too weak for a man like him, he thanked her for telling him, and told her she could go. The housekeeper fed her before she left, and gave her money for a cab home. She passed the places she knew, charred ruins of once lovely and bustling establishments. The homes were worse off, reduced to kindling, smoldering now with the efforts of firefighters. When she arrived, she found her building hadn't quite survived the fire, partially collapsed, but with the frame still intact. She picked through what remained of her things, luckier than most in her mind, and the cab brought her to her sweetheart's home. Great Uncle Levi, Nan said, who welcomed her with open arms. Caught me rambling, Nan said, laughing to herself. You were asking about the William boy. She said she only knew what Henry Wallace told her, and what his mother told him, so I should take it with a grain of salt, but... Two things stuck with Nan when her Uncle Hen told her the story. Two things about her great-aunt, and about young Will himself. Aunt Adeline had always spoken of how she shouldn't have survived that night. It frightened Henry Wallace, but it intrigued him, too. Made him believe it when she said they had something special in the family. She told him it was her lucky charm, in fact, that kept her safe. It was a gift from a woman who knew power, knew magic, and even if she didn't believe in magic at the time, Adeline believed in the woman who gave it to her. Young Will, however, was the opposite. He believed in magic, and nothing could contain his rage about it. From the stories Aunt Adeline told, he wasn't always a drunk. She knew he was in mourning. He had a lover, like the rhyme goes, and that lover died. And when she asked him how, he said it was their fault. The ones who played with magic. He said they dug too deep, said their passing fancies were dangerous. They were so convinced, he said, that they could change the world. And in some ways, they did. They killed Jack Robin, he said,
with their foolish pride and their dangerous magic. And his world was gone. And still they persisted. Still they kept at their work. It was like Jack Robin never mattered to them. It didn't matter that they grieved. Didn't matter that Mary Ann and Will wept over his grave. They wouldn't stop. Kept playing with the fire that burned them. It made young Will feel insane. No. It made him feel like the world was insane. And he was the only one left to think. She'd written him off the first few times. The drunken ramblings of a grieving man. She'd regretted it when she knew he'd been right, and didn't have the memory to recall what he told her. What she did remember was that he was enraged, lit up with a hatred for those he considered friends and loved ones. Said it was their fault. His lover's sister, Mary Ann, though that made no sense to Adeline. His father, William Sr., and his lover's dear friend. Mary Ann gave her magic to protect her, but young Will seemed to think she was at fault for his lover's death. Jack Robin was what they called him at the joint, just like they called Will Billy Boy. Seemed to him that his father knew magic too, and their friend. Speaking of his father, William Sr. disappeared after his son died. Of course, I knew why, but most people didn't. Something else Adeline used to say that Henry Wallace never understood. I thought he was good, she'd say. He was always good to me. Spent time with Jack and Billy and Mary and her sweetheart. But after Mary Ann died, he never came back. And I never saw him again after the fire. Henry Wallace guessed that she was talking about that friend. A white boy like Billy, but not quite like him either. While the rest of them came from money, this friend was one of the people. Salt of the earth, like them. Tried to help people when he got money, got power, but she never saw him after the fire. No matter how many times he called her Miss Violet and acted a friend. But then again, just because she never saw it, didn't mean that he wasn't also mourning. After all, he lost his friend Jack, lost Mary, lost Billy. Who else did he have left? Violet would have been there for him if he came, but the joint was long gone, and it'd take years for them to rebuild the ward. A foundation seemed to take over rebuilding efforts, alongside what was left of the Savard estate. It's what Mr. Savard would have wanted, said the barrister. Violet was luckier than most, having somewhere to live in the rebuilding. Having so many to rely on. The Donner family was 15 siblings large, with a few gone away, never to return. A few of them still lived in the city, but the younger ones had nothing to do with their parents. Her Levi said he still got money from an older brother, even after he left long ago, and it let him study to become a doctor. He was told not to tell his other siblings, though he suspected the younger ones got the same deal, because they weren't struggling the way they ought. Rosalind, Sarah May, Gordon, Cyril, and Levi John all lived well without their parents, thanks to their older siblings, and they'd always be grateful for that. Nan apologized for getting off topic again, but I thanked her for her insight anyway. Research was one thing, but sharing her family stories meant a lot, especially learning about young Will. I thought about the rhyme, thought about the story DJ told me once, about children summoning a ghost that relive this memory of burning alive. A ghost made of rage, of desperate, unheard grief. And I knew what I had to do. A summoning, once again. After, of course, I finished another.
You're listening to Hainai by Motzie Dapul.
Hey everyone, this is Motzie, creator of the Hainai podcast. Hainai is a podcast produced by myself, Yoi Halago, and Alyssa Jimenez, and co-created by Reg Helly, and licensed under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 4.0 International License. This episode was co-produced by Jesse Goodsell and written and directed by myself. If you'd like to chat with other listeners when episodes go live, we do a live premiere 3 times a month on Sundays at 9 p.m. EST or Toronto time on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/HainaiPod. To help support the production of Hainai, you can subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/HainaiPod. You'll get to listen to episodes ad-free and get to be part of our early access program, where episodes are released 3 days early on Thursday at 9 p.m. EST or Toronto time. You can also get bonus audio, art, video, and much more. Speaking of Patreon, we'd love to give a shout out to the following patrons for all their amazing support. Adge W, Tony Baloney, Nay, Boyo, Nat Dwight, Phoenix Luna, Kate Jordan, Tiana Harvey, Dracucard, Sabine, Ben, Sean, Sharon Poplinsky, Josh the Alchemist, Jess No, Maddie Remigio, Talon, Alan Weberman, Nonette Dapul, Tanisha Wesley, Mika, Matthew Upton, Anna, Sooks, Becca Terrier, Amelia Brownstein, Diana Cause, Jaden, Madeline Hicks, Melissa, Emma Heilig, Faye Fungi, Danny, Pablo Neurotic, Astra Kim, Evie Smith, Megan, Jesse Goodsell, Malaya Light, and Victoria Goodwin. If you can't subscribe monthly, you also have the option to buy us a milk tea on Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/HainaiPod, HINAYPOD. You can even buy ad-free episodes over there if you purchase our Hainai album, which has the ad-free, credits-free version of our episodes from Act 1 and 2. You also get this album for free as a patron. Check out our website, HainaiPod.com, for more news and updates, and don't forget to follow us on all socials, on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Facebook, and now Blue Sky. Hainai is available on Acast and wherever you listen to podcasts. We hope you enjoy our Act 3 episodes. And as always, thank you, we love you, and hanggang sa muli.